I do feel compelled to ask, have you ever had the debate with your brother Bill about Randall Flagg versus Pennywise?
We have not. No.
Well, I mean,
should.
where do you stand?
You must choose between kindness for your kin or hate for your enemies.
When it came to the Northman, did you go out to make a Viking movie and then the legend of Amleth came to you? Or was it a matter of you knowing that you wanted to tell this legend in this backdrop?
No. I had a lunch with Alexander Skarsgård and we shook hands saying that we would make a Viking movie together. and then I came across Amleth, which inspired Shakespeare's Hamlet, and realized this is perfect because I have a story that everybody knows. So I can make like a movie for a big audience and not lose them while still like sharing with an audience what I love about Viking mythology and culture in a way that you can't usually go so deep and detailed in that stuff in a movie this size.
I brought it to the conversation, but not intentionally. I had about 4 or 5 years prior to that fated lunch that we had, Rob and I teamed up with Lars Knudsen, the producer who ultimately produced the movie with us, and with the intention of making a big epic Viking movie based on the Icelandic sagas, something that was historically accurate, with a goal of trying to kind of capture the essence of the Vikings. And when Rob and I met, it turned out that he had just returned from Iceland and was fired up and excited about Icelandic culture and Norse mythology. And we started talking, and then I mentioned that I was actually trying to develop a Viking project, but hadn't quite nailed down which saga to base it on. But we started kind of just like bouncing around ideas, and that became the genesis of the Northman. Yeah.
I will avenge you, father. I will save you, mother. I will kill you, father.
Well, I mean, how much knowledge about that era did you have coming in, and how much did you learn through the process of making the film?
I mean, I didn't have a ton of knowledge because originally I wasn't interested in Vikings. I didn't like the Macho stuff, and the right-wing misappropriation of Viking culture put me off even more. But when I took a trip to Iceland, the landscapes were so like brutal and inspiring and like epic that it made me pick up some Viking sagas and learn about them. But I had a lot of learning to do. And I enlisted Icelandic poet and novelist Sean to help me write this thing. And then, once the movie became real, we had the finest historians and archaeologists in the field of Viking studies working with us. So that was really exciting and a lot to learn.
It's interesting to think about this movie and Vikings kind of just as a prototypical vision of masculinity. And given that the definition of masculinity has changed a lot over the course of history, and especially in what we're living through now, was that something that was in the back of your mind that was used as a filter for how you were telling this story?
I think that I always try to present the worldview of the culture that I'm telling the story about without judgment, but it's tricky because like the ending of the film, it needs to be a happy ending for Alexander Skarsgård's character, but like I don't necessarily personally see it that way, so it's a tightrope.
I cannot escape my fate.
This does strike me as a performance that really just requires a lot of trust in your director. I mean, you are putting just so much out there. It's got to be exhausting just so physically and emotionally. What was it about Robert Eggers that earned your trust and just let you know that he was going to make the film that you wanted to make?
Well, at the time he hadn't made The Lighthouse. He just, The Witch was playing in theaters when we met. And I was very impressed by The Witch and his filmmaking. It really felt like I was transported back in time, and it was such an immersive experience, and it felt so authentic and rich, the world he was able to create there on a very, very limited budget. So, and again, those were elements I felt were essential to the Viking movie. I wanted it to feel authentic and not take too many creative freedoms but actually stay true to the sagas and again capture that essence. So, and I knew that Rob would take that seriously and work really hard with Viking scholars on and try to shape that world.
And imagine your confidence only grew with The Lighthouse. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, again. Over the course of development, I'm curious, just where would you say the most evolution happened? Would you say it happened through, like, from the first draft to the shooting script, through production, or in the editing room?
No, it's always in the writing for me. Like, and even, you know, this movie was the first movie I didn't have final cut on. And I would say, like, you know, maybe this changed more than my other 2 films did in the post-production process. But even still, it's not changing that much. And I'm shooting single camera. So there's, you know, only so much that can be done.
And night by night, we will carry out my pledge of vengeance.
And this is kind of out of left field, but I am actually a huge Stephen King fan, and I loved your performance as Randall Flagg in The Stand.
Oh, thank you.
But I do feel compelled to ask, have you ever had the debate with your brother Bill about Randall Flagg versus Pennywise?
We have not. No.
Well, I mean, where do you stand?
I don't want to sound cocky, but probably Flagg.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of the devil in a way.
He has kind of a lot at his disposal.
Yeah, he's pretty powerful.
Fate has no mercy.